Hi guys. So this week is for, or this video is for my littles. We are going to be working on the turkey that we drew last week. So you should have it all drawn. I have gone ahead and started a little bit on mine. So what I would probably suggest is that you color some of it first. And if you have glue and you have some brown paper, like I talked about in our video last week, you're going to be using some brown construction paper, tearing it up into small pieces, and gluing it into your turkey, which is what I'm about to show you how to do. If you are tearing it up and you do have paper, awesome. When you are tearing, make sure that you're not tearing these itty bitty teeny tiny pieces. If you put it down and you put your finger over it and you can't really see it anymore, it's too small. So this would be a good piece because when I put my finger on it, I can still see it. So make sure you don't tear it teeny tiny, but definitely no big pieces like this. I wouldn't want to see that. So don't do that either. So nice little pieces like this. So what you're going to do, you're going to be using some glue today. If you don't have any glue, that is okay. You can always just color this. So if you're at home and you don't have any glue or you don't have any brown construction paper or you don't have both, then you can always just color it. But remember to color it nicely, which we've talked about quite a few times now. So no scribble scrabble, stay inside the lines, and it's really a good idea to make sure that you are going up and down or left and right. So picking one direction and staying or continuing to color up and down or left and right. So I chose up and down, and I typically do choose up and down because it's easier for me. And then it will look a lot better when you're coloring. Now, I would suggest that you color a lot of the stuff first because once we start gluing, your paper is going to start to get a little soggy, a little bit wet from the glue. If you aren't going to color first, then you'll probably want to let it dry before you start coloring if you have time for that. Now, if you are here at school, I will be bringing brown paper with me to the rooms, and hopefully you'll have glue. If not, I do have some for you, but if you're at home, I can't bring you those supplies. So just remember, if you don't have the supplies, you can always just color it. So hopefully everybody has crayons at home. So when you're doing this, the reason we're using glue is so you practice using glue the correct way and you learn how to use it and not get super messy. So remember, just a dot, not a lot. So I just put a little dot on the back of my piece of paper, and I'm going to find a nice area to put it inside my turkey. So I like it right there. I'm going to squish it down. Hold it down for just a second and then move on to my next piece. So get another one, just a dot, not a lot. And then kind of like a puzzle, find a good spot staying inside the lines of your turkey. If it squirts out the edges a little bit, that's not too big of a deal. Just try not to make a big mess. You can always kind of wipe it. And one of the nice things about glue is you can kind of just rub it into your hand and just rub and rub and rub. And the heat from your hands, it'll dry and it'll peel right off. So that's not my skin falling off. It's just the glue. It's drying and coming right off. So move on to our next piece. Just a dot. Let's turn this one. So I like, with the curve here from how I tore it, it kind of fits nicely against the edge of his body there in that curve for his leg. So try and fit it in nicely. You can always overlap some, and for overlapping, I mean, I might not be able to find a piece that's like this triangle shape here, so I can just go right over the top. But don't do that for the outsides, so make sure you're still staying inside the lines. Now, if you end up starting to do this and you don't really like how it's looking or it's taking too long, you can always switch to coloring, but see if you can at least finish one area. So like finishing under his wings, and if you don't really like using that technique anymore, you don't want to glue anymore or it's getting too messy, you can always switch, but try to at least get an area finished if you do start this way. So just pressing I rub my hands together because I got some glue on them. And you're just going to keep going, one little piece at a time. So I'm just kind of turning it around, seeing where to put it. I like right there. So doing this over and over can be kind of calming too. And if you're like in a bad mood, ripping paper can sometimes make you feel better too. Just make sure you're not ripping them teeny tiny. So those are some good shapes, good sizes. This one's a bit big, but it's not too big, so I'm just going to go ahead and use it. Yeah, it'll be real good right there. So we're going to fill up as much of his body as we can. I'm not sure how it's going to look when we go into or on his wings, but I think we can still do it. So maybe we can put a piece right here. So I would probably say get as much of his body done this way as you can. And then if you want to just color his big feathers in the back, you could. You might want to color his face as well, because I'm only going to be bringing brown paper around, so I won't have like orange and red for his beak and his gobble. So I probably should have already colored that. So I might color that before I start putting any of these pieces in there if I do use the torn paper and glue. So, or if you don't want to, you can color it afterwards, but I would suggest you wait until it's dry a little, or you're going to get some really messy crowns because you're going to get glue all over them most likely. So this is all we're going to be doing this week. Hopefully you'll be able to do this step where we're just gluing little pieces in. It's going to give him a nice texture, and texture is when something looks like it has a feel to it. So if you look at my table here, it has this wood texture, which makes it look like wood. It looks like it would feel like wood, but it's actually really smooth. So with typically with wood, you wouldn't want to run your hand across it because you get splinters in your hand. And if you've ever had a splinter, you know you don't want splinters because they hurt. Try not to cover up his wings. And the problem here is I'm trying to make sure that I can still see this line, so I can still see that it's his wing and not turn it into just a big brown blob. So just take your time and make sure you're doing your best. If nothing else, if we do cover up that line, once it's dry, you could go back over and color or draw right back over the top of this brown with a black marker. And then you could make it stand out again. So I'm probably going to do that if I do make a mistake. I do have this itty bitty area, and I actually do have a tiny one. I think that was my don't tear them too super tiny one. So I'm going to go ahead and put it there, but make sure you're not tearing tons that are too tiny because they get real messy. See, it's not wanting to stick. There we go. So you're just going to go a piece at a time, gluing in, putting brown paper all over his body. And then when you are done, if you didn't get anything colored, so I still need to color his other leg, of course, some of his face, his beak, his gobble, the sky. I went ahead and colored my mountains back here, but I haven't colored my field, so I could put some greens or yellow greens in there, or both, because we talked about variety, adding different colors to make it look even better. I already did my fence, so not a lot left to do, just making sure that I get all this colored in once I'm done. So again, if you don't want to, how am I going to say this? So if you want to color his feathers brown, you can if this is because once we get into these smaller areas, tearing the pieces of paper that'll fit in there will be a little more difficult. So if you want to color in his feathers instead of using the brown paper, you can. But you'll just go a step at a time, filling in all of these areas with our torn paper. So hopefully you enjoy this one. I will put up a picture of my finished version as well. I'm not going to waste a lot of time in the video showing you as I glue because it's going to take a little while. So make sure you are taking your time. And if you rush, you can't really make beautiful art. So you got to go a little slow. Make sure you're doing a good job. Just take a deep breath and have fun. And hopefully we'll have a beautiful piece of turkey art for you for Thanksgiving. All right, guys, so I hope you enjoy this, and I will see you with a new video next week. Bye, guys.